What? Bang!
Pro Wrestling Podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep, screw, rep.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Did he do it?
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am the Macho King Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for...
It's me, Austin.
I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. People, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in a shout-out like my good buddy John down in Texas, then check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. Don't forget loyalty rewards. Anybody who contributes $15 a month, you get to co-host a live show with myself. $7.50 month contributors, you get to enter into a drawing to also co-host a live show with me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, something you want us to talk about in a future episode, give us a shout out at the Fro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160, and we will get to those comments in a future episode. Tonight we're going all over the place. We've got Collision going on right now. We've got reaction to Smackdown, other news tidbits for the day. We're going to get into all of it as best we can in as much of an abbreviated experience as we can. Don't have a ton of time tonight, but let's just go there. Let's get started. First off, I don't want to go into every match on Collision. I don't feel the need to. I'm going to talk about the things that really drive me crazy. One, Roppongi Vice and Lance Archer versus Bandito, Tomohiro Ishii, and Brody King. Can I just ask, what are we doing with Brody King? Brody King is a world-class wrestler, one of the best wrestlers in the world, and as such, should be booked in a program that puts him in position to really maximize his talents and be used as a potential world championship contender. Instead, since arriving in AEW, he's been in a six-man tag team with the House of Black, which went essentially nowhere, short six-man championship reign, whatever. For the lack of better terms, it was a waste of 2 years of his career. Now, with Aleister Black gone, still doing nothing of substance with him. Great, he picks up the win tonight in this six-man tag team match, but it's almost like he took a bunch of guys and just threw them into the ring together just to get them on television. That is not what you should be doing with somebody as talented as Brody King. Same thing with Bandito. Why is Bandito being used like he's just, throw together for these ridiculous matches out of nowhere? It's almost like Tony Khan is booking a lot like New Japan Pro Wrestling does, where they have these shows where they, for example, when they do the G1 Climax and they have round robin matches set up, and there's A nights and B nights and C nights and D nights and all that kind of stuff, and certain nights, certain talents have tournament matches, but anybody else who's not in a tournament has just random thrown together matches every single night. And it just feels like such a waste of great talent, whether it's Brody King, Bandito, or anybody else that they keep throwing into these ridiculous matches. I'm waiting for them to do something of substance with Brody King specifically. At least in this case, Bandito is the Ring of Honor champion, but again, that's a company that doesn't even have its own television show. We're still shoving him into AEW Dynamite and Collision. So I don't know. I question Tony Khan's booking. I'm not enamored with any of the other matches on the card. The Mike Bailey and the Blake Christian, great. It's a good match. They're both solid wrestlers, but I don't really care. Gates of Agony versus the Learning Tree. It sounds great. It looks great. Chicago street fight, even though two dudes come walking out looking like, they're fresh from the jungle, but like, I mean, I get it. I guess you're doing something of substance with Brian Keith and Big Bill, but at some point, Big Bill, one, you got to shed the name. Like, what the heck is Big Bill? It's a trash name. Give him give him a first and last name of some kind. Give him some other moniker. I don't care what it is. Big Bill should be a legitimate World Championship level contender as well. He's improved his in-ring ability significantly in the last several years. There's no reason you can't use him to that level. And Keith Lee, Brian Keith, I almost say Keith Lee. Good Lord, talk about somebody I haven't seen in forever. Brian Keith, again, a talented young man, but easily could be in the mid-card challenging for the TNT Championship or something like that. And instead, just locked into this learning tree nonsense. Now, great, they pick up the win tonight. I'm happy for them, but there's so much more that they could be doing. And for whatever reason, one reason or another, they're just not. I didn't care about the Megan Bain, Anna Jay. I don't care for any of that stuff. I feel like Collision is kind of like this show that it's become the show where like you just kind of put matches on because you have to put something in to fill your contract with Warner Brothers Discovery, but there is such an opportunity, especially with a roster as deep as theirs. On a night like tonight, where's Will Ospreay? Where's Hangman Page? Where's Swerve Strickland? Where's your world champion? They should be on, when you only have certain show opportunities, they should be on every show. Even if they're not wrestling, they should be in some kind of conversation, a promo, building something up on commentary. I don't care, but do something with them. This is kind of a letdown. Collision has become, almost, I hate to say it, it's almost like a Heat or a Shotgun Saturday Night level show. It just doesn't have the same pop as Dynamite, and that's a shame. We talk so frequently about AEW's talent roster, the size of their roster, and all the people they have at play there, and despite all of that, we still can't seem to find a way to get enough great matches on the card. And for me, that's a challenge. We're supposed to Will Hobbsworth versus Wheeler Yuta, another match that, I guess it fits with the storyline heading into Anarchy in the Arena, but why? It feels like such a waste. I don't know. I'm not trying to dump on AEW because the in-ring content is usually pretty amazing, but this just wasn't a great week for me, a great episode for me. I do want to touch on SmackDown. SmackDown, also not something that really blew me away. I was intrigued by the Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and JC Mateo, or the former Jeff Cobb situation. Why WWE feels the need now. I understood during Vince McMahon's reign of terror because, he's an egomaniac and wants to own every intellectual property possible. But Jeff Cobb is an established commodity in wrestling. There's no reason to change his name to JC Mateo. It's kind of ridiculous, if I'm being completely honest. Jacob Fatu clearly on a collision course with Solo. I think at this point, because you've added JC Mateo to the mix, you'll probably end up seeing that match as well, which might actually be a better match than the Solo Sikoa one. I thought it was interesting. They were playing off of the I Love You type stuff again that was really popular months ago. But at the same time, again, there's greatness in the future in this feud, but there wasn't enough substance on this episode to really wow me. LA Knight comes out. It's going to be an issue with them later in the show. Let's jump into the Money in the Bank qualifier. Michin, Chelsea Green, Alexa Bliss. I think everybody going into that right away thinks Alexa Bliss wins, which she does. But I really think at this point, Chelsea Green has earned so much love and respect from the fans. This would have been a great place to put her in. I'm just saying. Here's my honest opinion. Chelsea Green, now that she lost this qualifier, Alexa Bliss should go in. We need 6 women. The last spot should be all the women who lost in some kind of battle royal or something, and Chelsea Green should win Money in the Bank this year. I really believe that. I think she's earned that. The reaction from the crowd is very clear. I think that's something that should absolutely be in her near future. The DIY Fraxium match, it's all right, I suppose. I understand when you bring a new team to the main roster, you really want to get them over, but do you really have to have them beat your entire tag team division in a matter of 2-3 weeks? You already beat the World Tag Team Champions, the former World Tag Team Champions. Clearly there'll be something with the Machine Guns and Los Garzas and everything else. Do they really have to come up and just beat everybody just so they don't win the Tag Team Championship? Because I feel like that's where we're headed. We're going to see them, clean house with everybody, which of course storyline-wise makes it seem like they're a shoo-in to win a championship, and then they're not going to. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I hate when they do this because it makes your entire tag team division look so ridiculously weak. I don't understand why Aleister Black is stuck in this, with his spinning his tires with The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, with him having the reputation with Triple H as being one of his guys and coming back to the company and being a huge acquisition from AEW. I don't understand why he wasn't immediately thrust into a premium program. It's not like they couldn't do it. They should have had him attack, I don't know, LA Knight or something, and further the Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu thing, and get them away from LA Knight, and instead use LA Knight to elevate Aleister Black as a heel, possibly. Or something. I don't even care what. But you had to do something better than this. This feels like Andrade Ideolo coming back. He comes back and he does a whole lot of nothing. It's kind of ridiculous, but whatever. I hope they're both happy being back in WWE where they're just not being used properly like they weren't the first time, really, quite frankly. Not loving the steel cage match at Saturday night's main event coming up between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I guess that's your blow off. It's probably going to be your main event for that night, because I don't think the John Cena and R-Truth match could really be a main event. Hopefully the cage match will be. Have to wait and see, but whatever. I guess that's a way to wrap up that feud. I don't know. Rumor has it Drew McIntyre's in line for a massive push in the near future, so maybe this is how you move him on and get him going with that. I don't know what you do with Damian Priest from here on out. He's kind of been buried a little bit because of his position on the card, his popularity and whatnot. Have to wait and see that. And then when you got other people like Karrion Kross, who are getting so much traction organically on their own, filming their own vignettes, getting their merchandise now in live events and things like that as one of the top merch sellers in the company. There's only so many spots at the top, so I'm curious to see what they do with that. And I know a lot of people hate when companies have multiple championships, but right now I almost feel like that's the kind of thing that we need more of in WWE because they have so much talent. Like Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Solo Sikoa, all those guys, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, all these guys should be vying for something other than just, palling around with the world champion, and that's kind of what it feels like. The Money in the Bank qualifier for the men, Rey Fenix, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, obviously, I'm really tired of seeing Rey Fenix lose already. I saw somebody comment online today complaining about Rey Fenix. If he had a better attitude in AEW, he could have been a major singles star and this and that and the other. Look, I don't want to hear about AEW. It has nothing to do with WWE. WWE doesn't care. But the reality is, since coming to WWE, he's lost matches already, now several. They are kind of burying him, and they need to not do that. This is a guy who's got a massive following, especially from his time on the indie scene, and you're just making him look like he's a nobody. And it's really frustrating because he came in with a lot of fervor, a lot of excitement. Same thing with Penta. I understand they want to put the two of them back together, but you don't do it by burying the two of them as singles, so they only work as a tag team. But it's a little frustrating, and I hate seeing him eat a Samoan spike for the finisher. Jimmy Uso was in the match. You should have pinned Jimmy Uso, not your one of your newest arrivals, Rey Fenix. It really kind of bothered me. JC Mateo versus LA Knight. I would really love to see one match where there's not so much outside interference. Mateo winning, not surprising to me at all. He's the new shiny toy that they got to push, so I'm not surprised he won. I just would have liked to have seen more and less controversy. It just seems ridiculous to me. And of course, the Tiffany Stratton Nia Jax match. A lot going on here. Naomi making her way out there, getting involved. I just think that the women's division over on SmackDown is so convoluted and strange, whether it's the Charlotte with Alexa thing, the Jade, and we still haven't addressed the Bianca situation, the Jack Stratton stuff. Like, there's just so much going on. I'm glad that Stratton retained. I think she does need to keep that belt for now, but I'm not sure where you go from here. When she was in the feud with Charlotte, had Charlotte come back after Mania and still wanted revenge, you could have running that program out much longer. If Charlotte would have won at Mania, you could have drug it out much longer. I don't know what they're doing right now with their women's division, but overall, SmackDown, not the most exciting show this week, just not. Let's get into the rest of the news. A company owned by WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan, his Real American Beer, is according to TMZ Sports, they are interested in submitting an all-cash bid for the intellectual property of Hooters, the restaurant. Hooters filing for bankruptcy. Currently, they have $370 million in debt, and there's conversation about like a Hogan's company and investors purchasing it, putting more money into it, and really bringing that brand back. I'm curious to see if that actually comes to fruition. That would be an interesting venture for Hogan to go into. Hooters, one of the first companies to carry the Real American Beer when Hogan launched that. Not sure how to feel about that. If it's Hogan really is getting into all these ventures now and maybe, taking a step away from the wrestling world, the pro wrestling world. Of course, he still has Real American Freestyle Wrestling coming up. Good for him if that helps him, rekindle his image or something like that. But at some point, maybe just come out and genuinely stop being a bold-faced liar all the time and, stop being such a bigoted racist. I mean, that would really help. Moving on from there, we got former WWE star Nikki Bella finally has a divorce settlement with Artem, her ex-husband, and apparently she's going to be paying $3,500 a month in child support to her now ex-husband, and a $200,000 lump sum payment with another $100,000 to be paid later. That way she can retain all of her, name rights, her wine company, things of that nature, and her Stephanie Nicole Garcia Entertainment. She gets to keep all of that and gets this huge payout that he gets in this separation. They separated back in September. There was an issue of domestic violence. Her husband was arrested, all sorts of fun stuff. She had a restraining order. It's really crazy. He was claiming she was the aggressor and all that kind of stuff. So clearly just bad stuff in that house. The two met in 2017 when she was on Dancing with the Stars and he was her mentor dancer instructor. But she was actually dating John Cena at the time. And then after she broke off the engagement with Cena, they started dating in 2018 and got engaged in 2020. So she moves quickly, and now she is officially separated. It's only a couple years later, so I guess congrats to her, I suppose. Other news of the week, Natalya commenting on the rumors that Saraya, formerly Paige, may be returning to WWE, and she actually referenced that she's getting ready to start stepping back into the ring and help training Saraya to get back to wrestling. She said that she's been talking to Paige about coming to train with her at the dungeon, and she's excited about her coming down. She's like, I told Paige, I was like, if I bring your heart and you bring your work ethic and you're ready to sweat, I would love to get a chance to meet in the ring with her. She said, I'd love to see Paige come back and train with me, and then, of course, I'd love to work with Paige again in WWE one day. We have a lot of unfinished business. I'm all in for it. I really am. I think she needs to go home, wrap things up, and really give an opportunity to just really, she got such a raw deal when she got injured the last time in WWE. I feel like she has this unfinished business thing with the company as a whole. Put in the role of a GM and stuff is great, but she really wanted to be an in-ring performer. And under McMahon's regime and how strict they were about concussions and other injuries, she clearly can still go. Did her thing in AEW. Tony Khan just again didn't know how to use her, even though apparently they split on good terms. I'd still like to see her go back and have one last real legitimate run. And speaking of Tony Khan, I just got to throw this out there because it was in the news this week and it kind of drove me nuts. On Dynamite, when Mina Shirakawa came out, she comes out to this new AEW theme music, which did not get over with the crowd. And then Tony Khan was paying attention to the crowd response, and mid-show, at the end of the show when she wins her match, he plays her original music. Talk about being like seriously, if you pick music for somebody and it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You don't just shut it down and switch back because you got some boos. Maybe that was just that city. Maybe people would have gotten into the new thing if you just kept it going. At this point, it makes him look like he just, I don't know, follows the crowd reaction and doesn't think these three things through to completion, wastes a lot of time and money on creating and producing music that he's not going to use. It's just a little ludicrous, if you ask me, and just shows how he's just not the same level of proficient at this business as Vince McMahon or Triple H or whoever in WWE. It's really a shame. Two other tidbits for today. One, former WWE superstar Billy Jack Haynes, only a couple weeks ago was on Dark Side of the Ring, the episode where they basically told his crazy story of his life in pro wrestling and eventually about the murder of his 85-year-old wife that he was going on trial for. He was basically, for lack of better terms, claiming it was a mercy thing, trying to help her, like an assisted suicide kind of thing. But he basically shot his wife. He was 70, she's 85. She had advanced stages of dementia and things like that. But He went to court this week, and they found him unfit to stand trial for murder, which is shocking, oddly. If you watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode, it was clear that he's able to communicate, but they doubt that he could be committed to... They think that he's probably going to be committed to the Oregon State Hospital for anywhere between 1 and 3 years. Really strange stuff. It really is. He was in a 2-hour standoff with the cops and all that kind of crazy nonsense. I mean, the guy, he was a name for a while. Former NWA Florida Heavyweight Champion, former NWA United States Tag Team Champion, in WWE at WrestleMania 3 against Hercules. He had an opportunity to be a megastar, but he was just crazy behind the scenes. Started showing up late, got into drugs. They talked on Dark Side of the Ring about he and a tag team he was supposed to be in with Ken Patera, where they were going to get a legit push, but then he showed up late to matches and things, and it ended up halting their push. So it's really quite strange, just to say the least. I mean, it's really a weird situation. And the last tidbit for today, AEW's announcer Jim Ross shared this week that he does have colon cancer. He is scheduled for surgery. I don't want to go deep into this. It's his business. I just want to say from me to him, and of course I don't expect him to be listening because I'm sure he's busy, but best of luck. Well wishes for JR. Speedy recovery. Probably, in my opinion, the greatest voice in the history of professional wrestling. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. Probably, Mount Rushmore of announcers. Got to be Jim Ross. Probably Gordon Soley. I know some people throw Joey Styles in there. I have a tough time with that. I wouldn't mind Bobby Heenan on there. I actually really like Tony Schiavone. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually in the minority. I actually enjoyed Vince McMahon's commentary. I really did. But, whatever. You can pick whoever you want to put on your Mount Rushmore. All I care about is this is somebody who belongs on that Mount Rushmore. That's just my opinion. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next time where we run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks to Suno AI for creating the music we used in our show. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with Sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to thegamecrafter.com and picking up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college or university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you so much for taking a few moments with us tonight. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great one.
Wrestling Podcast.